Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Rahmadillah Manautami. In this video, I will explain about language and the brain. The human brain is divided into two hemispheres, left hemisphere and right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is responsible for the function of the right side of the body, and the right hemisphere is responsible for the function of the left side of the body. So right for left and left for right. These two hemispheres communicate with each other thanks to the organ of the corpus callosum. The human brain is modular. It is said to be modular because it has many parts and components that function for mental functions. Neurolinguistics is the study of the relationship of human language and the human brain. In other words, it studies all the mechanisms that are responsible for the production of understanding and acquisition of language. So there is no linguistic dealing with this kind of relationship that exists between the two, the human language and the human brain. They are interrelated and also study the parts of all things with the mechanisms that are responsible for the understanding of language production and acquisition of present language. The learning of language production and acquisition of present language. The left hemisphere is very important when it comes to language production and understanding. And there are three main areas that fulfill this function, and those functions are referred to for production and understanding. Many specialists believe that the left hemisphere is where language resides. The first area in the left hemisphere is Broca's area, also known as the anterior speech cortex, which is responsible for storing and producing speech. Therefore, any damage in this particular area will result in difficulty in producing sounds, so you have Broca's area to deal with. The second area is Wernicke's area, or also known as the posterior speech cortex. This section deals with speech comprehension. To have successful processing, language must exist between Broca's area, which deals with language storage, and Wernicke's area, which is essentially a language analysis system. These two areas need to be linked for successful language processing. The third area is arcuate fasciculus. This area, what this link is aware of. Arcuate fasciculus combines Broca's area and Wernicke's area to achieve language comprehension and production. And now the leg with the fourth area is called the motor cortex. This area is an area that controls body movements or body muscles in general. These four areas together fulfill their function and have successful language processing. Now I will talk about the localization view. Basically, it is combining these four parts together to fulfill their function and to have successful language processing, so that the localization view means that language ability can be assigned some specific location in the brain. So, in the process of hearing word, understand it, then pronounce it, then through certain patterns or step if you want. So we must first hear the word, then understood thanks to the Wernicke's area, which we use to understand words. How to interpret it. Then the arcuate fasciculus transfers what it understands to Broca's area, where it stores language properly, and Broca's area sends signals to the motor cortex to move the necessary muscles, because the motor cortex is responsible for moving muscles in the human body, including the mouth and larynx, everything we use to talk. Now I will talk about language disorders. There is three kinds of language disorders. The tip of the tongue phenomenon is when it is difficult to remember a word in a situation where the speaker says they already have the word on the tip of their tongue, but they cannot remember, and generally they are words that are familiar to them, unlike other words complicated we rarely use. The second is the slip of the tongue, which is an error due to the similar sounds of some words. The third is the slip of the ear, which language is when you hear words that are not spoken by the speaker, like take the dogs out, but someone hears take the drugs out.